Hi there, I'm DeDe. In this 30-minute session, we'll do poses which emphasize hip stability. Having stronger, more stable hips can create greater athletic performance, better balance, and it can enhance the way we move in general. We'll also do some mobility work toward the end to create greater range of motion and to keep ourselves limber. Here's what you'll need. A yoga mat, a small towel, and some water for hydration. You always want to stay hydrated. Feel free to remove your shoes and socks for this. Make sure you have plenty of room around your yoga mat. And remember to always move at your own mindful pace. And that means that you're being mindful or paying attention to how you're moving and where you're moving and how far. And then you can help prevent injuries. It's important to be mindful. So you might want to position your mat just like mine is, so you can see me pretty easily. And then, as we sometimes do, we'll stand with our feet underneath our hips, soften the knees, make the pelvis balanced and level all the way around. Ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And then for just a moment, we'll do some deep breathing. Let's place both of our hands on our abdomen. So maybe a little bit below the navel and just right above the navel. See how that feels. As you do this, try not to tighten up or elevate your shoulders. Let them relax down. Now, if you're good with your balance and you feel comfortable doing it, you can close your eyes. Otherwise, leave them open. Now let's breathe through our nose on the inhale as well as the exhale. So we're keeping our hands here on our abdomen because it helps remind us to breathe more deeply. We're not just simply breathing into the ribs and the chest, we're breathing down so the diaphragm can expand further down maybe. This reminds us to have our hands on our abdomen, reminds us. So see if you can make your hands move first on your inhale. So first your hands move, and then your ribs move, and then your chest moves. And then you exhale completely. And then you do it again. So continue to think about this breathing. Whether we're standing still as we are right now, or if we're moving, you're still thinking about your breath. And now let's also start to bring our awareness into our feet. You can open your eyes up now if they're closed. And then we can release the arms down now. So we're thinking about the feet. Make the weight even across both. You're not favoring one over the other. It's even and equal. Think about your feet as rectangles. And you're going to press the corners of your rectangles down evenly, all four corners. If that feels different from how you normally would stand, then don't be surprised. We don't normally stand in equal symmetry. Normally we lean one hip out, right? Or we lean against something. So right now we're doing the antithesis of that. We're being equal and balanced and symmetrical. So just standing in this position, believe it or not, calls for some amount of hip stability to keep us from dumping into our front ribs and sticking our tailbone out. So we want to keep from doing that. We can keep a little bend in the knees, but we want to maintain this pelvic neutrality. So from the front to the back, you can check with your hands like this if you want. And then also from the right to the left. It helps if you have a mirror, but in the absence of a mirror, you can feel with your hands. Feel for your bony landmarks. Your pelvic bones, they should be even. And then if you bring your thumbs around to the back, your back pelvic bones should also be even with one another, even with the floor. And that's pelvic neutrality. So if your hands are up now, bring your arms down. And then let's start to circle around through one ankle and then the other. Do your ankles crack and pop? One of mine just did when I did that. It's a pretty normal thing to have that happen, for our bodies to make crackly popping noises. Turn your palms forward right now so we know that the shoulders are back. Let's do a couple more of these ankle circles. When we shift our weight to do an ankle circle on one side, that hip has to be stable. So there's that hip stability again. One more. Now we'll come up on the tiptoes of one foot, and then we'll come back down. So make it a tiptoes that's quite high. So you're stretching through the underside of your toes and maybe into your arch a little bit. Maybe you're feeling something on the tops of your feet as well. Let's check back in with our breathing. Are we still breathing as if we had our hands on our abdomen? See if you can tap into that deeper breath. That deeper breath helps to center us, ground us, bring us into the present moment, all the good stuff. Now, both feet down. Let's go up onto both sets of tiptoes and then back down. Now, it doesn't have to be very high. By the way, if you're feeling like you're not able to balance that well as we do something like this, you have a couple choices. You can step off of your yoga mat. It's always easier to balance on a harder surface than on a squishier surface. And then you can also choose to go over to a wall, put your hand on a countertop, or put your hand on the back of a sturdy chair. That's always your option. Let's do a couple more of these tiptoes. Are you able to get up any higher? And then come on down. Let's tap the toes now. Lift one set of toes, set it down, and then lift the other. Think about lifting without lifting your heel. And then we'll start to sway the body and let the arms go. A little bit of side to side. We're still breathing at that nice, deep, slow pace. This movement is faster than our breath. We're shifting the weight from one leg to the other. Again, enabling our hip to be more stable, requiring it to be more stable. One more. And then stop. Soften your knees if they're not already. Turn your palms forward. Inhale, arms come out to the sides. And then exhale, sit back like you're about to sit in a chair. And then when you're ready to inhale, do it again. Push the hips back, hands supporting right on the thighs. We'll do it a few more times. I'll show you from the side. See how the neck stays long and the back is straight and neutral? We talked about pelvic neutrality. And this is spinal neutrality. Can your arms go a little higher? Elbows can be bent. We're starting to feel a little warmer. I know I am. How about you? Now, if you don't need to support with your hands on your legs, then take your hands in front of your heart each time you sit back. Just a reminder that your knees should bend straight ahead and not collapse inward or push outward. Make sure that's happening for your knees. Looking up is fine as long as it's okay with your neck. This time, we sit into our imaginary chair and we stay there with the hands on the legs. And then inhale, stand up. And then exhale, come forward. See if you can come a little bit further forward and down this time. 2 more. You're moving with your breath for this. One more. Now we twist. Inhale, arms come out to the sides. Exhale, look over your right shoulder. Let your arms wrap around. Inhale, center. Exhale to the left, arms wrap around. And we'll do it again. Turning your head. Even your legs shift a little bit. The only thing that's not moving is the feet, but even the weight is shifting across the feet a little bit. Our bodies are integrated units. What happens to one part usually affects the rest. And this twist is no exception. One more each way. Now, how about some side bending? So for this, we'll take the feet a little wider. Step out a little bit wider than your shoulders. Turn your toes out a little bit. Let's inhale and then exhale over. Just moving in a fluid way with your breath. There's something very calming about that. Our nervous system recognizes that we're moving in a fluid way, we're breathing deeply, and it automatically starts to down-regulate or relax. And we can all stand a little bit of calming and relaxation, right? And if we can also create more hip stability and strength, then that's even better. And that's what we're doing now. All right, let's add some leg motion now. So inhale, straighten your legs. And then exhale, sit back with your hips and tip. And then we'll do it again. Straighten your legs as you inhale. Sit back and down and tip. Make sure you're offering some support with your hand. Straighten. And then tip. Now we stay down and we take both hands down. Inhale here. Exhale, twist and drop one shoulder, looking to the side. And then we'll switch. Push the hips further back if you can. Now we're creating better hip stability and strength here because we're pushing the knees wide. And we're using our hip muscles to do that. So if your knees are collapsing in this way, you have to correct that. You have to push out more. If your feet need to be more narrow, let them come in a little bit more narrow. One more time. All right, we're coming to the center and up. And we're going to turn this way. So this foot is your back foot, this foot is your front foot. And then keep your balance. Coming up on the tiptoes of your back foot now, hands to your hips. Make sure your feet are on a railroad track now, not on a tightrope. Inhale, exhale, bend both knees, sink down. And then we'll do it again. Inhale up, keep your eyes on a stationary point. Exhale down. Add some sweeping arms now. Inhale, sweep the arms back, open the chest. Exhale, hands to your hips, bend both knees. You can make this motion smaller or bigger. Bigger is tougher. And then we'll come up, keep your balance now, turn toward me, and then we'll switch our feet. Turn this foot in a little bit, this foot turns out, and then come up on this tiptoe over here. Stay on your railroad track. Get your balance, find your focal point. Inhale, bend both knees to sink down for the exhale. Adding some different arms now. Inhale, arms come up a little bit overhead, and then exhale, pull down, arms out like a goalpost. Let's do that again. Remember the option of going next to a wall or using the back of a chair or a countertop to steady yourself with some light support if you need it. We're moving with our breath here, inhaling up, exhaling to come down. We have a few more. Make sure your breathing is still flowing here. 2 more. Here's the last one, creating lots of strength and stability in our hips with this one. Carefully now, coming up, facing front. Your feet are still this wide distance apart, this wide stance is going on. Make sure your toes are turned out, bend your knees, sit back and down with your hips, and we'll stay here. Now, last time we were here, we had our hands for support. If you're able to, lift your chest a little more, keep pushing your knees out, and take your arms out here with the palms up. Inhale, and then exhale, swivel the hands in, straighten your legs. Inhale, sit back and down. Exhale. Do it again. So this swiveling back and forth, if it's not working for you, you can find a different arm motion. You can have your arms holding still if you'd like. All right, let's stay down this time. Shoulders back and down, pushing your knees out. Here's something to think about. Take the weight toward the outer edges of your feet as much as you can. That will help pull your knees open. Now let's inhale, exhale, just a little twist. Inhale, center, twisting the other way. Let's do a couple more. Take a look down at your knees. Are they pointing outward still? Remember, we're not collapsing in. We're not collapsing in toward the arches of our feet. Last time. And last time in this direction. Come back to center, coming up. Walk your feet in. Let's come back to our original mountain pose right here. Feet under hips. Find that pelvic neutrality. Find your spinal neutrality. Turn your palms forward so we know the shoulders are pulling back. Stay here. So because of all the hip stability that's involved with a single leg balance, we're going to do a single leg balance sequence now. One of my favorites, you've probably seen it before in my class, Warrior 3. I like to talk about the teeter-totter effect. What happens on one side of the teeter-totter happens on the other side as well. And it's the same for Warrior 3. Here's what I'm talking about. If you're here with your leg, then you'll move your torso the same amount as you move your leg. They're not separate. They're not moving separately from one another. Okay? I'm turning sideways only so you can get a better visual. You do not have to turn sideways. Take your right leg back and then make it somewhat rigid, meaning you feel the activity in the muscles of your leg. And then make your torso somewhat rigid, meaning you're bracing through your core, your shoulders are down. Hands are on your hips. Soften your standing leg. That's your left leg that's soft. And then we'll start to tip like a teeter-totter. Now you'll find a focal point that's somewhere where your eyes are going. Just let your eyes naturally go somewhere there and then keep breathing. Now we're going to tip the pelvis so it's not too unlevel. We want to keep it level. So if it's not level, if it's turned out, turn your navel toward the floor as much as you can. And then we'll come back up, keep your teeter-totter effect, and then we'll switch sides. Get your left leg back, soften your standing leg, brace through your entire body, including your core all the way around your trunk muscles, and then tip forward, but not without lifting your leg up. Remember, they happen together. And then keep trying to level your pelvis. If you lose your balance, you just bring your foot down. Let's start to tip back up, and then we'll switch legs. Let's do the same thing again. Switch the weight over to your left leg, take your right foot back, and begin to tip. Now, if you're comfortable here, let's bend and straighten the lifted leg. Just bending the knee, straightening the knee, just a couple of times, and then tip back up. How did you do with that? That's more challenging, isn't it? Because we're creating sort of a dynamic aspect while we're trying to balance. Let's try the other side. Get yourself lined up, left leg back, tip. Doesn't matter how far over, you just get your distance, and then try the bending and straightening of your lifted leg. Make sure you're not holding your breath. One more, and then we tip back up again. Let's relax the arms down to the sides for a moment, and we'll find mountain pose. Strong, tall, equally balanced right foot to left foot. Now this time, we'll try moving our arms, one forward, one back, once we get into the position. All right, so start with your palms facing in. Arms are down at your sides. Take your right leg back. Tip over, doesn't matter how far over. And then one arm forward while the other arm goes back. And then switch. And then we'll tip back up. So hands to your hips if that helps you to balance. Both feet down. Let's do the other side. Arms at your sides. Remember, the option here is to not move your arms. That's always okay, to not do one of the variations. And then here we go. One arm forward while the other goes back, and switch. And we're still breathing. And our hips are as level as we can make them. And then we'll stand back up with hands on the hips if you'd like. Both feet down. How did you do? I'm going to turn around and face you, and we're going to step out nice and wide once again. We're turning this way. Make sure you have a substantial stance here. Your feet are on a railroad track, right? They're out. Turning this way back to our high lunge. Now we drop down, and we stay here. Square your hips to that end of your mat if you're using a mat. Shoulders are away from the ears. Now let's take our hands in front of our heart, or take your arms out in front, or bring your arms up into a V with your elbows bent if that feels better. See if you can drop a little bit lower with your center of gravity, and then you can try looking up if that doesn't throw your balance off too much. Do you feel the strength that you're building right now? Does it feel challenging? If it's challenging, that means you're building strength. And then let's come up slowly. And we'll make our way around to the other side. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Get yourself the right distance apart from front to back and from right to left. And then we'll drop down and we'll hold. This time, the arms go down, palms face forward, and then we'll draw the arms back as far as we can, and we'll stay here. Find your breath. Keep your elbows a little bit bent if that feels better. We're almost finished. Hang on. All right, and then we'll come all the way down to the ground. So that means hands down, knees down, not necessarily in that order. And then take just a moment if you'd like to and take a hydration break. Remember, staying hydrated makes all of our bodily systems work better. Get your small towel, put it next to you. Let's lie down. First, we're on the elbows, and then slowly lowering all the way down. Take your small towel, put it over your eyes if you'd like. Or don't do that quite yet. Rest it on your chest. Bring your knees into your chest for a moment first. This towel is getting ready to go over our eyes though. Knees into the chest, and then circling around through the ankles in one direction, and then the other direction too. And then we'll take one foot down, followed by the other. Let's do a couple of bridge poses. So that means feet in line with hip joints, arms comfortably down to your sides, head in the center. Try not to look at me for this part. Inhale. On the exhale, push your arms down, push your feet down, lift your pelvis, and keep your spine neutral. And then inhale to come down. Let's do it again. Exhale to come up. Use the big muscles in the back of your body to help lift you. Coming down when you're ready to inhale, pushing up again for the exhale. This bridge pose, these lifts that we're doing here, this helps build strength and stability in our hips as well. All right, and then we'll come all the way down. Now we did a lot of contracting through our hip muscles. Let's do a couple of stretches. Pull your right knee into your chest and hold on to the back of your right thigh. And then to the best of your ability, straighten your left leg out along the floor. And then we'll try to straighten both legs as much as we can. You do your straight shape. And don't worry about anybody else's straight shape. You do what feels right for your legs. And then let's switch. Take your right foot down, hold on to the back of your left leg, and then do your best with straightening your right leg along the floor. Can you feel the stretch in the front of your right hip and the back of your left leg? We're stretching both simultaneously. Now let's bend both knees and place the feet on the floor. Separate your feet and turn your toes in a little bit and let your knees lean against one another. Just get comfortable there so your legs are holding each other up. Now we can put the towel over the eyes if you'd like to do that. Just for a moment. Let your arms come down to your sides. Of course, the shoulders are relaxed into the floor and away from the ears. If you do have your eyes covered, you can uncover them. And if they're closed, you can open them. Start to move through your fingers and your toes gently. And then let's turn to our side so we can safely sit up. Press with your arms. And come all the way up to sitting. Any position that's comfortable for you is fine. So how does your body feel now? Training stability in our hips and legs is hard work. We just felt that, didn't we? But the results are worth it. We can get better balance, we can be better at walking, better at hiking, even better at golf. Thanks for joining me, but more importantly, thank yourself for being here and taking some time out just for you. I'll see you next time.